this live set, I decided to do two things. One is to explore the XYZ layout in the widest sense possible. But the other thing I wanted to do was also connect it to this theme of vulnerability, which is the theme of the evening where I'll perform some music in a few days. I'd like to thank Ableton for asking me to take a look at these features and for sponsoring this video. And I'd like to thank everyone in the Push 3 Bible and Push Playground because you're also supporting my work here. There's much more to come on both of my channels on YouTube, so do subscribe if you'd like to see more. So this first track here is Nerves here in red, and it is a kind of a bell sound, which is based on a drift instance. I will try to keep these racks open so you can see what's going on now and then. And what happens with this is that as I move away from the bottom left up to top right, you can hear this church bell, this ominous church bell, gets pushed further out into space. And I chose the church bell sound instinctively, but also because I realized after a while it could provide a useful kind of slow metronome to the music I want to make, giving me a sense of timing. It's also a very kind of ominous sound. And nerves, well, yeah, that's at least what I get if I have to share something vulnerable with someone. I don't know if it's just my Nordic upbringing, but I think it's probably a pretty classic human trait. And what I also basically thought, as soon as I saw the XYZ layout, was like, what if this would be like a space? That over here, it's up close and personal, so to speak. So very dry. But as I move it further away, it moves into a room. And what I did was I created 3 rooms, one here, and one here, which is using a chain selector. But I'll, like I say, talk about that elsewhere. And if you listen here, it's a small room, like a little basement, like the one I'm in right now. And the next one, it's already quite a lot bigger. And if we move over here, it's even bigger and the sound is even further away. So what I can do is move from left to right through these different spaces and then dive deeper into them. And that's something I kept on coming back to, was if I have something close to me on the XY pad, I want it to be small and sound close. And I just took that as an organizing principle to get started with. So that's the main aspect of that. But what I also added was by leaning into, i.e. using pressure or the Z direction and pushing into the pads, I set up something which makes it sound much more metallic as I do so. So here I won't press anything at all, but now I'll press in. Here it sounds much more metallic. And that's using autopan tremolo as well as some aspects of drift to give it that extra metallic sound, which I can also push in after I've played the note. And yeah, nerves, metal, nerves of steel. Sorry, but I only saw that after I'd done all this. That is that sound. Worth mentioning, just before I move on, is that there's this extra device here called the Room, which is just an audio effect rack where I've put in a reverb where I can essentially use a send mapped to the Y-axis to push the sound out into that reverb. To give you a very short look into what's going on here, I'm going to make sure I've got the rack selected here and just going to move my fingers around the XY axis. You're going to see what that's affecting. So for example, here, autopan tremolo, as I move up to the right, you can see how that becomes shorter. That's creating the metallic effect. If I lean into the sound, you can see here on drift that it's adjusting the shape, the mix of noise and oscillator 1, giving again this sort of raw, tighter sound. And you can see here, it's also, as I lean in, adjusting the dry wet of this echo device. And then here on the Room, if I move my finger, wait, I just need to make sure I've got the actual rack selected. It does hop around a bit. And if I move back and forth, you can see how it's using a chain selector to move into these different rooms, essentially, or to send audio into these different reverbs, which are on these chains. If you want to see a deep dive onto how I make such what I call super instrument racks or super effect racks, there's a video on my channel from a few years ago where I look like I'm lost. Anyway, there you go. That's just a quick look. I'm not going to go any deeper than that. because there's a lot to talk about still. For a much more detailed look into how that all works with lots more explanations, check out the Push Bible channel on YouTube and also the Push 3 Bible online course. This second sound, called the Long Walk, is a sample-based one, and it's using Granulator 3, which is made by Robert Henke originally and allows you to scan through samples and do really amazing, fun granular synthesis. And how does it sound? That's the most important thing. If I play a note, you can hear there's something looping. And now I can start to hear my footsteps going through some leaves, which is appropriate since it's autumn here. And you can hear somebody playing basketball in the distance. Now if I pull it down, i.e. towards me, it becomes very small, the loop, the audio loop. And if I move up, it becomes much bigger. And I can basically scan from left to right through the sample and choose different parts. And what I can also do with pressure, if you look here at the Z-axis, I'm sending it into this delay here. So let's find a very small sound. And then I lean in. Meaning I can pick out different sounds and just send them into this delay. Now, what this allowed me to do was to add a kind of organic texture to what I was doing, and also a lot of unexpected rhythms. And also, for me personally, a kind of memory of this moment of walking around in the leaves, which I love. I love sampling for that way. It can teleport us back to places and spaces and add a lot of meaning to something that we're making. And being able to then lean in now and then means I can accentuate the sound that I might find, and again, create some, hopefully, happy accidents as I go. Why is it called Long Walk, you might ask? Well, it does help to go for a walk now and then if you've got to prepare and get ready to share something vulnerable or difficult. And yeah, that's where that came from. Very, very simple. But again, for me, it's a good example. I jest, I joke a little bit here, but I'm actually genuinely serious in that this theme plus this possibility with the XYZ layout married very well for me, because suddenly like, sampling, you know, connect that to a feeling and then use this area to scan through a sound. I thought it was a very, very cool idea. If those of you, some of you out there don't have Live Suite or Max for Live in order to use Granulator, you can use Simpler and get a very similar result in many ways. So just keep that in mind. Now this next sound, Uncertainty, is relatively simple in that it's exploring this area, the XYZ layout, to generate notes. So what do I mean by that? If I play one note here, it's just one note. But if you look at the XY axis, you'll see if I move to a different area, and it's a MIDI device, so it's not going to do anything until we play a note again, it's added a 7th and a 14th, or rather 7 semitones and 14 semitones. So it's taken the original root note and created 2 additional notes, so 3 notes in total, so a chord. And if I move somewhere else, you get these sometimes incredible progressions. And it's called Uncertainty because of that uncertainty. I don't know what I'm going to get. However, what I did in this instance was to use scale device to nudge all of the notes back into a certain scale, so that at least as I noodle away and try to express myself musically, these notes do at least land within that scale, which in this case is C Dorian, meaning that I could, with some certainty, be sure that even if there's a slightly awkward moment here and there, it's mostly going to fall within something that sounds relatively harmonious, so to speak. There's nothing set up for the Z axis, partly because I think I just didn't come up with anything, but of course you could add all kinds of things. You could add an extra note, you could add octaves, You do lots of very, very cool things with that, which, again, I won't start doing right now. I'm very tempted to, as some of you will know me well, I'm always ready to deep dive into these topics. I'll do that elsewhere in the Push 3 Bible. So that is uncertainty, where, again, I think this idea of happy accidents is very much at play. And what you can do as well is, of course, play, you don't have to play the root note always, you can play different notes. Your mileage might vary working that way, or even create chords. I have to say there are beautiful moments in there now and then, and you could explore using the strum setting. I'm not going to do it right now, but imagine that as kind of a sort of a shimmer of notes you could be playing with this technique. So uncertainty allowed me to create this sort of pensive, uncertain loop of feelings while I'm looking for other ideas, and to have it in the background always kind of moving around and creating you know, moments of tension with other things that I'm playing. And uncertainty was a nice one for me. I really liked that it came up in this context of first thinking, okay, what can I do with notes? And then I thought, don't know what notes I'm going to get. And in the context of vulnerability, you often also don't know what you're going to get. Many good things. I'm not your therapist, so I shouldn't be encouraging. I'm not a professional therapist, but what I have learned is that you can often have unexpected nice things from venturing outside your comfort zone. I'll put it that way, and I'll move swiftly on. So courage. Now, here I wanted to, before it was called courage, explore texture. And so I've got a meld instrument here, which is new in Live 12. And I chose meld because it's got a lot of texture. It's got two engines essentially running in there, and you can get a lot of gnarly sounds. And then I took roar, which again specifically is set up as an audio effect to add all of these extra extra grit and dirt to a sound. So anyway, let's listen to it. I'm gonna play a note here and then move along. You can hear it's adjusting the oscillation. If I lean in, it adds some reverb. And you can hear these somewhat dissonant sort of microtones. As we move all the way up to the top, as it kind of resolves itself, and I push it out to that reverb, and this is just so much fun. I can do with one finger much more than I could ever do with, you know, trying to do them all at the same time here, which is really one of the big points here, I think, of the XYZ layout. It's kind of letting us do more with just one finger, and letting me explore this idea of texture, which, you know, I'm so keen to deep step inside and show you what's going on, but we'll skip that for now and just talk about a few other ideas. So why this angry sound here? I thought to be vulnerable is to be brave, and for that you need courage. So this is a sound which is brave. It is also quite raw and even angry sounding. It's often how feelings start, by the way. Oh dear, I'm gonna get in trouble with this. What I liked the most about it was that it could add this undertone of tension. You know, meanwhile, to the track to the left of it, Uncertainty, was playing these sort of also slightly awkward chords, but that this could be this kind of wash of texture coming in and out. And what I also realized quite quickly is by setting up so much reverb here at the end, and with these long release tails of these notes, is that if I then stop the loop and then jump back here, because that's what will happen if I stop recording at exactly this moment, you get this sudden sort of snap of effects. And I didn't want that. What I discovered, which I rather liked, is with a long release setting for meld, what I could do is, you know, move all the way up here, play my note, let go of the note, and then just walk it back. meaning that if I then press record at this moment, it's going to start the loop of the clip recording, and it's just going to move smoothly through this this movement back and forth, kind of like a wave, kind of like a feeling maybe. Anyway, the last track, it had to be called Vulnerability, of course. But I, at this stage, was wondering, well, what more do I still have to say or explore in this layout? And I thought, Andre, sometimes you got to keep things simple. I should apply it to more things in my life. So I found a drift sound, which I really liked, and just pulled back the filter. So all the way over here, the filter is really reduced. And as I pull it over to the right, the filter opens up. Meaning you essentially get these extra harmonics that were being cut out by the filter. And as I move all the way up here, I can then finally lean in with Z and push my finger into the pad and send it out to some space, as well as adding some auto pan and tremolo, which is a bit more apparent here. So the idea here was, let's finish on a high note, or at least let's finish on a positive harmonic piece of content, to put it that way. I mean, play a few notes, but try to resolve everything so that this journey of you know, nervousness, walking, uncertainty, courage leads to something sweet and kind and positive sounding. So what I quickly realized was, okay, I want to play a chord, and I also want to play a sort of very simple melody. But I need both hands. So I realized quickly, oh, okay, so to play something here and also move XY is going to be hard. So I'm going to use my thumb, the fleshy part of my thumb, not the nail, because otherwise Push doesn't know I'm playing a note anymore sometimes. And basically start over here. So very close, again, this idea of proximity. And I do also have a MPE set up for this instrument, so I can lean into each note a little bit and then move this along. So I've got a bit more space and harmonics. Change the chord. I could lean into it for Z pressure and for some auto pan. Oh, that's lovely. If I do say so myself. And then try to bring it to sort of happy moment. Now at this stage, the release of drift has been set to its maximum, so like 60 seconds, meaning this note will play out for a while. So I don't need to record any loop, I just need to let go and then move to the final idea with XYZ, which is called memory. So let's do that. It's on the main track. Which just lets me walk the sound out. Bring it back if I want. And now and then push in to send the sound out at that particular moment out to the reverb. Again, using this idea of a kind of a room, or AFX S1 from Push Playgrounds, which has got a very similar setup. And yeah, let's give one more example of that. So come over to the main channel. If I lean in, you can hear it just go out to this ethereal space. Meaning, as these cloud of ideas played and looped, I could then lean into certain ones and accentuate them just as I pull everything out into this final cloud. What's going on here? There's an auto filter going into Pitch Loop 89, which is just this amazing fun device made by Robert Henkett. And again, Live Suite. But you could set this up with filter delay or some other devices which you can find in other versions of Ableton Live. If you do have Live Suite, do check out Pitch Loop 89. It's really, really cool. And that added this kind of wobble and sort of idea of like pulling an idea and sending it out into memory, letting go of the idea, of the feelings, and, you know, closing the circle of the journey. Don't know why that makes me a tiny bit emotional, but it does. I'll leave that there for now. I'm keen to hear your questions about this, because they will feed into any explanations I can share on the other channel or other videos. And also what you think about the XYZ layout. What sort of things have you been trying out with it? There must be so many cool ideas. Because at first when I thought, oh, okay, yeah, I can control some macros by moving my finger around, and then suddenly I realized, wait, there's this whole world of space, of texture, of sample hunting, of delay, of many things to explore here. And I think I've just scratched the surface. So as always, there's much more to talk about. Oh, there's so much to talk about with this, and also some other updates for Live 12.3. For those of you inside the Push 3 Bible, I will share this live set with you, along with some creative challenges, as always, so that you can get going and making your own things with it. Do subscribe on this channel and the Push Bible channel if you would like to see more, and join the mailing list. Then I can keep you up to date on what's going on. In the meantime, take care, and go make some memories.